Yeah, the audio's on. Hello, welcome to the live. I'll just move that around a bit. Yeah, back with the garden live. Not done one of these in a while, but the weather's been shite, so it's not really been appropriate, has it? Quite nice today, even though it's getting late summer. Well, it's getting towards autumn now. Still quite nice, so yeah, garden live. I'm going to talk about cognitive dissonance. I don't want to do this because I want to sound intellectual. It was a term that we bandied about by various psychologist types like Jordan Peterson and deep thinkers. And I've just been sort of reading about it. I'm reading this at the minute, Black Box Thinking, Matthew Syed. It's all about, I did one the other day, success is built on failure. Well, basically that's what it is. It's almost accepting when it's recognising failure and using it, like reframing it and using it for success. And cognitive dissonance is part of it, because this is a fault in that theory. So the theory here is if you learn from mistakes, then you become successful. But when you refuse to accept the evidence, when you refuse to accept when something's wrong, and you double down on your beliefs, you're denying reality, basically. And that's what cognitive dissonance is. So in a nutshell, it's kind of a deeply, cognitive dissonance is a deeply ingrained human trait, you could say, because it's actually attached to our beliefs. So if we believe strongly about something, what can happen, even if you presented evidence to the contrary, and that evidence is clear, rather than accepting that evidence and just updating your beliefs, you will double down and find excuses as to why you're still right. And you kind of invent, it's almost like, we invent new reasons, new justifications, and almost come up with explanations as to why we're still right. Sometimes we ignore evidence altogether. This is like cases where people sort of just shove it under the carpet. You might think in criminal cases there, if they want, if the police want a conviction or whatever, they might bury some evidence or whatever. We see this in movies, right, when they really want to convict someone, rather than just accepting the evidence, And this matters when you've really, really invested time into something and you believe in it. You could say it's like, a little bit of sunk cost fallacy here. You really need something to work out, but it's not working out. That could be a relationship, right? And you might have done this yourself, where you start making excuses for the other person that's treating you badly, and love is blind and all that. This is a form of cognitive dissonance, because you're making excuses rather than accepting reality. You're trying to hold on to that belief, right? And the domino effect of cognitive dissonance is when new evidence is presented, you come up with another story as to why you're still right, and then that's disproven, and then you keep going and you're just moving the goalposts with new evidence, new ideas, and clutching at straws, basically. And we see this everywhere. Like it happens in relationships. Like if you really love someone and you want it to work, you can see yourself making excuses. But also it's in, like, have you ever seen it in tribal politics, which is just absolutely fucking nonsense, like, where people tend to cling to, like, a particular political party, irrespective of what happens, right? Even when the evidence is clear that it's, probably not the best thing, they still cling to it. And I think you're better to always be looking for ways to update your beliefs, because, if you think, like, cognitive dissonance is a bad thing for personal growth. If you can't update your beliefs when you see new evidence, you're not going to grow, right? And I guess like a really good example of where it works. You know, like in scientific theory, right? Scientific theory is built on failure. You know, the whole success is built on failure because you come up with a theory, new science come up with a theory, and they test it. And then when it's proven wrong through test, the theory is updated. And that, you know, science is literally that. It's just disproven, disproven, disproven until it's proven, right? And that's how you should be with your own life. You should be not tribally wedded to any belief that gets disproven. Not at all. No, I mean, it's similar to the term dogma. I just wrote an article yesterday about from a tech company about dogma within information management. You know, this is why when I talk about reading, never read only one type of book. I see people get trapped in this. They'll just read one narrative, or they might listen to one news source or one news article or one outlet. You want to read and consume information from a wide range of sources, right? So it's like read wide, listen wide, whatever you do, you know, whether you listen to podcasts, news articles, reading books, you want to go wide, many different voices and opinions. And then you take all that and you form your own opinion about it, your own philosophy on it, right? Because that's, you could say, you know, amateur philosophy. True philosophy is reading wide and forming your own opinion. The opposite of that is dogma, which is aligned to cognitive dissonance. And you won't help your own personal development if you go down that route. I mean, just looking in here now, the kind of examples that they're giving in this book, Black Box Thinking. I mean, it examines, I talked yesterday on success is built on failure, which is, oh, sorry, it wasn't yesterday, it was the day before, it was Monday. That was based on the airline industry when planes crash, and I think I talked about, you know, the famous pilot Sully that landed that plane in the river. He did that knowing, in a famous interview, he said, you know, I'm no more talented than the previous pilots. The thing that he had was the benefit of hindsight of all them past failures that people had to die for him to have the knowledge to know what to do. You know, he's no more skilled. And then other examples in here is like the healthcare industry. I'm in the UK, but it's talking more about the United States, where the healthcare industry refuse to document and accept failure. They do, but they don't do it in the same way like, say, the planes, like, you know, you call it aerospace, is it called aerospace industry? Whatever, right? You know, with the airlines, they cannot afford failure, so they document everything and learn from past failures. But in medical, for some reason, there's like this hierarchy where the doctors or the consultants doctors don't want their reputation tarnished, so they'll do everything they can to sort of brush things under the surface or just go over it and nothing gets documented. And then another example, which I've just been reading about, was people wrongly convicted of crimes, quite serious crimes, where up until the invention of like things like DNA testing, which revolutionised, they found that loads of people have been wrongly convicted just on theories, you know, not solid evidence, and then DNA disproved their conviction. And when it first came about, there was a lot of prosecutors just denying the DNA, you know, trying to, oh well, it was conducted wrong, or yeah, there was first they was trying to like refuse the DNA. They'd do everything they could to refuse the DNA test to be taken, you know, because they don't want other evidence to contradict their story. And then because they'd secured a conviction, they got wedded to it, like attached to it. And then when the DNA evidence came out, they then sort of start making excuses. Oh, well, it was done wrong. And you go down this, like I said, it's called the domino effect, you know, just excuse after excuse. And what I'm trying to get at is it's when you become attached to a belief, right, you might fight it tooth and nail to be a reality, rather than accept the truth and update your beliefs, which is what you should be doing, because true personal growth comes from updating your beliefs to become better, right, and accepting new beliefs, whether that might be, you know, in your personal life about relationships ending and things like this, or, you know, belief about your own health, you know, or whatever, like, you know, if you've got like a bad habit or something, accepting that. And then updating your beliefs and doing something about it, right? So you could say it's almost like an identity shifting element, because your beliefs are, you know, really what make up your identity. So I think that's really good. When you become stuck, you know, you've got loads invested. Let's say you've put too much into a business idea, or too much invested into a relationship, and you can't accept that it's not working out, and you've got this sunk cost fallacy, and you'll make every excuse to hold on to it. It ends in pain. You know, you ought to be updating your beliefs. I am actually going to be doing. I'm started a lot of work actually on another product to help with identity shifting, because obviously I've got it in the journal. I've got where is it now? The identity evolution cycle, which is an important part. You know, that one. You go on the website and have a look, right? But the identity evolution cycle is basically we are the sum of our habits, and that reinforces our identity, which is based on our beliefs. I'm going to do a new product on helping that, how to shift those beliefs. I'm actually going on an NLP course to learn about beliefs and things like this, so I'm going to update my own knowledge. I've done a lot of reading on it, but I want some professional certification. So yeah, don't get caught in cognitive dissonance, you know. That was a nice little chat. Right, I've got some comments. Yeah, but that takes balls to admit that. Yeah, of course, right? So admitting failure. Do you not think it's like, I think it's like next level to admit failure, right? And it's really funny, because if you ever watch like politicians, they just fucking double down and back themselves into a corner. Don't like the. You've seen this recently, like, I don't want to talk about specific politics, but we saw this recently in the UK politics, where a particular politician fucking backed themselves into a corner where it got to the point where they had to get fired. Right? And rather than just accepting and just admitting things, I think it's really grown up to accept your mistakes and own up to them. And if you accept them honestly, let's say you did the best that you could do. You're doing the best that you could do, and you mean well, and you set your course of action and your plan, and you've got your identity, and it's solid. You can't guarantee success. So let's say you have a failure, and you were wrong about something. I think accepting it is a really mature thing to do. I mean, I think about myself as a, you know, a business leader, business owner. I've had to do this loads of times. You know, I've made wrong moves, and I've had to accept it and own up to it. And I like doing this. You know, whenever you do it with a client too, they really appreciate it. If you can do it, you know, you don't have to like be all weak about it, but just owning up, saying I'm sorry, like, or if you treat someone badly, it's really good to own up to your failures. One of the best things you can do is look yourself in the mirror, and then when you get certain, because there's always times in life where you get new beliefs. That might be usually through a traumatic event. So trauma comes about like when your worldview gets shattered by new evidence or something new, and you think, wow, and you just get completely fucking blindsided. You know, that can be a relationship, say, or it might be a health scenario or anything, right? Your business might just completely go under because you miss something, and it shatters your worldview and you get trauma from it. I think the way to kind of avoid that, well, I don't know if you can avoid it, but accepting that new worldview, some people call it becoming red-pilled, right? I don't mean like red pill dating, I mean red-pilled as in shit, new, it's like you're seeing a new world. The world is evil all of a sudden. It's like, well, it's always been that way, you've just been denying it. Yeah, you see that a lot. You just had a big failure and it's like, okay, accept it. How can I learn from it? Update your identity, update your beliefs. Yeah, sorry, I'm struggling to see this lot because it's like, yeah, of course. To write off that investment. Yeah, sometimes like writing off an investment, you know, like the sunk cost fallacy. It's like, I remember when I was reading about stock trading, Robbie Burns, The Naked Trader, that's still quite a good book. It's probably 20 years old now. He's still brilliant. And he talked in that book, I mean, it's 20 years ago when I read it, but maybe not 20 years ago, whatever, but he talked about when people can't accept a loss, let's say they've invested in a stock, he calls it averaging down. When it's going down, keep buying more of it because you think you're getting it at a discount, but it keeps going down. And it's called averaging down. It's a bad strategy. You just end up losing. Obviously, buying at the bottom is a good thing. But normal mortal humans like us cannot time the market. So yeah, sunk cost fallacy is real in many things. We are protecting our egos. Yes, protecting our egos. That's a really good one. That is a really good comment. So yeah, we definitely protect our egos. I think admitting defeat is like healthy ego, isn't it? It's like nobody wants to admit defeat. Nobody wants to admit that they're wrong, and that is the ego thing there. So yeah, protecting our egos is huge. That is a great way to put it. Mistakes are the only real way to learn as well. Yeah, of course they are. Yeah. What the fuck, son? I will need a trip to the Museum of Failures in the USA. Are you in the USA? Right. Okay. Yes. If you're in the USA, yeah, trip to the Museum of Failures. Of course you do. I mean, just document your own failures. This is what I say. Like, when I read back my journals, like the last 6 months, and when I read them at the end of 6 months, this bottom bit here now, how can I improve, has got all your correction that you do at the end of the day. And it's always best to write that right before you go to bed. And because this is how you're trying to improve on the habits that you set for that day or for that week. And it might be, like, I'm always telling myself off for going to bed too late. And when you read them back after 6 months, that's where you can really see the improvement. I might spend a Saturday morning just going through and just reading all that continuous improvement. And documenting it that is your record. This is my record of my successes and my failures. And it's important to keep that because you're writing them down in the moment. You're not thinking about what happened last year. You're writing in it each day as things happen. So you know it's correct. It's the most accurate document of your life, all your successes and failures. And that's what I find really interesting and really helpful because, you know, when you start a new one, you create a new identity, you set your goals and you start working towards it. And then day by day, you know, you're ticking things off. And then slowly you're improving the bad habits, whether that's like, you know, one I'm doing at the minute is definitely working on my sleep routine, trying to get a minimum of 7 hours, hopefully 8 hours a day, because I like to get up early, like I've been this morning. Jiu-jitsu starts at 6, so I've got to be up at sort of 5, past 5. It's an early morning. So I've got to be in bed, right, to make that happen. And yeah, these are the things that we have to do. So yeah, I believe in documenting your past failures and your success. So all your success and failures using a journal. Another thing that I've done is using Jordan Peterson's self-authoring program. It's a good one online. You know, you do the past authoring, you do the present, faults and virtues, which is the good and bad side of you, and then you do the future, which is planning the future. That's quite good. But nothing beats documenting in the moment in a journal, I think. It's real, you know. All right, I've got to shoot. Thank you for the comment. I can hardly see this because of the sun. What we got there? The Holy Trinity is eating right, yeah, sleeping right. Yeah, of course. Is eating right, sleeping right, and exercise? Yes, exactly. Yeah, if you cut right, so eating right, obviously, my diet's fairly solid. I mean, I let it slip. When I let my diet slip, I do it on purpose to bulk, right? So I never do a dirty bulk. I do like a lean bulk, but I'll always let my diet slip at times or eat more calories than I need for that purpose. But my diet's tight, so I've got that dialed in. Training, when I need to train, I've got that dialed in. I've been really good with sleep, but I'd say the last 6 months I've slipped. And I know why. I've just had so much on my mind in terms of business and things. Like, I spent the last 3 or 4 years barely working that much. Things have just been ticking over well, so I've not really had to really put that much of a shift in. I've spent a lot of time doing what I want to do and training and things. But then this year, I've bitten off more than I can chew with work, which has meant when you bite off more than you can chew, you give yourself too much work to do. And that has been on my mind, and I've found it hard to slow down in the evening. You know, you want to slow down, you want to finish eating early in the day and doing any work. You want to do it all in the morning so you can then spend the evening slowing down and preparing for the night. I've been struggling with that because I've had too much on my mind, and when you got things on your mind, you can't sleep. One of the best ways I've found is, it's like the meditation stuff I do with Roberto, is you can use breathing techniques to help you to get to bed at night. So if you're struggling to sleep, you'll use the same breathing techniques that you do in meditation training, which is, you know, slow breaths in, nasal breathing, hold, and then eventually release. And what I do with Roberto is we do retention. So you can do, like, I try and do 1 minute breaths. So every minute, get 1 breath. And he sometimes times me, and sometimes you hit a minute, sometimes I get 6 breaths in 5 minutes, which is just under. So it would be like breathe in for 15 seconds. 15? No, breathe in for 10, hold for 30, breathe out for 20, and just repeat that. If you can do that, I mean, it's very hard to do 1 minute breaths, but if you're struggling with sleep, brilliant. And obviously meditation's great for calming your anxiety. If you've got anxiety or things on your mind, you know, like I said, when I was struggling sleeping, it's really good for that. So yeah, anyway, we've gone off topic there. Cognitive dissonance. If you haven't read it all, I think you should go and read it all back. Yeah, the cloud of work follows you. Yeah, the cloud of work follows you. It does. One thing I would say is, I believe in one of the things that I believe in, I did on the Goal Achievement Hub website. If you go on the website, goalachievementhub.com, I did an article. I think it was something like the 9 traits of consistently successful people. And number 9 was integrate your work into your life. Because I believe in this. I believe this term, work-life balance, it's bullshit. You know, when people talk about work-life, who talks about work-life balance? It's usually people that hate the jobs, right? Anyone that loves the jobs never talk about work-life balance. So if you love your work, it kind of, and I don't mean being a workaholic. This is not being a workaholic and only working. It means genuinely loving your work and integrating it into your life. So it's like when I travel, I record videos. When I travel, I'll integrate that element into my life. I always bring my journal. You know, I'm always reading, I'm always writing ideas down. I take my computer for my tech business and I'll do bits of work. So it's all integrated, and whoever I'm with, they accept that. And it means that you're never always on, but you're never always off. And it all kind of blends into one. You know, I don't have a 9 to 5. I don't have a Monday to Friday. You know, I might work at random times, and then have random times off. And if you can I know not everyone's got the flexibility, but that's a good thing. And I learned that from Rob Moore, you know, the property investor, progressive, in his book, Life Leverage. Integrate your work into your life. Work-life balance is bullshit. Yeah. He's too tan to be in England. This is a white country. Fucking hell, you cheeky sod. I'm not tan. Not if I turn round here. Look at that, how white that is. Yeah. Right, I'm going to shoot. Thank you for the comments, everyone. Don't forget, like the video, subscribe. Also, comment that you said about, obviously, the Holy Trinity, training, diet, and sleep. I'll put a link down below somewhere. Go and check out on my website, andyholt.co.uk, the diet plan. It's all there, the diet plans and recipes, and I've did a new video recently, like the new breakfast one. I've checked that out on my channel. It's a really good one. I'm most of the way through a diet plan book that is going to be on the Goal Achievement Hub website. It will be like a digital download sale, and it's based on, if you look at my videos, they're all based on like whole foods. So we're talking like no processed foods, organic where you can, high protein, low overall calories, and I would choose low carbohydrate to lower your inflammation. Obviously, sometimes you need carbs for training and things, but I run really well on ketones, so I can do ketone energy really well. I don't get tired, so I function very well like that. But the reason why I promote low carb is for health reasons. It lowers your inflammation, which is one of the best things you can do for long-term health, as well as lower calories, but keep your protein high. So what am I getting at? Right, go to that, have a look at that diet plan. I'm going to be doing the book. It's going to be a digital PDF book, but the knowledge in there is golden. It's based on what I do, and it's barely any effort. Everything takes 20 minutes to make. I put my brother on that, and he was a fat cunt. I used to be a fat cunt. Well, temporarily I got to a fat cunt, and I got rid of it through it. And my brother was a fat cunt, and I put him on, and within 6 months, he was lean and looking trim and great. So even if you do go to the gym, 85% of the results is in the diet. So if you're struggling, not quite getting the results, just look at the diet plan that I've done. Honestly, if you do that, you'll end up with good results. So I'm putting it into a book, and I'm going to be giving it free when you buy the journal. It'll be like with the journal inside it. There's this training and resources here. It's like QR code, and it goes and you get loads of downloads with it. That's going to be with it. And of course, you've got all the videos to support it. So go and have a look at that too, because the Holy Trinity, as you say, is diet, training, sleep. 90% of your problems in life will be sorted by them. I always think this, like, if you're not in a good place and you're not quite getting the results that you want, because this happens, we get in a bad place. One of the best things you can do is update them 3. Make sure you're getting good sleep, because if you're tired, that's when the negative thoughts come in. You ever realise that? When you get tired, the negative thoughts come in. And then training is just a stimulus, but you need good food. So it's one of the fundamental elements of personal development. Thank you very much. Right, I am struggling to read this because it's fucking, can't see anything with it. My Indian neighbours served me ice cream at the son's birthday party. I asked where it's from. He told me that he made it from his wife. Come on now. I can't keep reading these. Right. Anyway, right, I'm going to shoot. Thank you very much. See you all next time.